Hi.
Hi.
I'd love to ask you a question
Yeah.
about the novelist and story structure and story design versus talent. Versus just that raw talent of Hemingway sitting drinking wine in Spain writing.
Oh, you think it was raw talent?
No, I don't. But I'd love to hear more about it.
Nobody.
I know it goes back to Aristotle.
When you read Hemingway, one of the things that certainly strikes you is how many drafts must this have gone through to get that kind of exquisite prose.
Right.
He must have rewritten, you know.
But was
constantly.
he doing the writing? I'm sorry to interrupt, but my question is, was he doing the writing with a fairly specific structure model in his mind?
Oh.
Say, Tender as the Night or Absalom. Were they?
Well,
these writers?
that's William Faulkner.
I know. I'm saying all these different writers. Do they have, in their own way, some type of structure in their mind?
Yes.
When they set out to
Yes.
write this story.
Yes. And exactly how they put that structure down on paper or not is idiosyncratic to them. I don't know how. I know Hemingway wrote standing up. He wrote dialogue with a pencil. He wrote description on a typewriter, and he wrote standing up. I mean.
But were they thinking?
How do I don't know. Well, let me get to the subtext.
Positive, negative.
No. Let me get to the subtext of your question. What are you really asking me? Do you really want me to talk about Hemingway's or Faulkner's or anybody's technique? No, you don't want that. Let me ask the question you really want to ask. Is it necessary as a novelist to think about this shit? Do I have to plan this? Do I have to have a structure? Can't I just write? Can't I do what I think William Faulkner did, which just pour it all out and never edit it, and never correct it, never rewrite anything? He just poured out novels, and then he gave them to somebody, and they typed them up, and that's how you think William Faulkner worked, or whoever, or Hemingway, whatever. And the answer is you do whatever you want. If you think that you can write a great novel by just typing it, type it. And I wish you all the luck in the world. If you think that you need to approach the novel in a different way and give it work from an outline, I'm going to talk as the last subject before Casablanca about the process of going from inspiration to last draft. And I'm going to suggest a method of work that I know that fine novelists and playwrights used long before there ever was film. But you have to make your own way.
Right.
I'm going to give you...
But my question also has, just trying to understand the historical context, Jane Austen
What
clearly
difference does
meticulously
it
wrote.
make to you what Jane Austen did or did not do? What the fuck do you care? Seriously. Are you a critic? You want to write a dissertation about Jane Austen? Go write a dissertation. But if you're a novelist and you want to write, it doesn't matter what Jane Austen did. Or any of them.
What about the rules?
There are no rules.
What about the rules of story? What about
There are no rules.
structure?
I think I just said. There are no rules. There's a form. And I'm going to show you lots. I've already done. I'm going to show you lots and lots of exceptions. I mean, I've been bellowing my lungs out trying to make people understand that this is a form. It is endlessly variable. There are no rules.
Right.
And they get bent whenever the needs of the story require it. But there is a form. But that form is universal and flexible in infinite ways. And besides which, more importantly, what difference does it make what anybody else does? You have to work your way by trial and error. You're going to have to teach yourself how to write. This is only 4 days of somebody sketching out the shapes of things and giving you ideas. On Monday, you're going to have to find a way to start working yourself, and you're going to step forward, you're going to accomplish something, you're going to fall back, you're going to fuck up, you're going to fix it, and you're going to teach yourself how to write. Yourself how to write. And so there are no rules.
Yeah, and I guess it's just a little bit of the curiosity. Did Jane Austen just instinctively know how to
give up this horse? Will you? Well,
know how to do
beat
it. You know, did she just instinctively know what a good story was, or did she have in her mind, oh, now I need to?
Let me pose this. How many novels do you think Miss Austen read before she started to write?
Countless.
Countless novels. And don't you think that as she read those novels, she was looking at them at some point going, how did he do what he did?
Right. So just a good story is a good story is a good story from caveman days on?
No, I don't think it's like that. I think what she did was read it, enjoy the story, and then read it again and again and again. And every time she reread it, she was teaching herself how to write. My guess.
But those principles, those universal principles, had been alive before writing, but when the cavemen were around telling stories, those just principles of engagement.
Well, it's also performance. You see, those were oral stories, and so you know real quick when people stop listening to you and they're bored.
Right.
And so by trial and error, you learn. Besides which, when you're a child in a cave, and the great old storyteller gets up and does his thing and everybody goes, wow, if you've got some interest in this, don't you think that like Jane Austen, reading novels, you're paying attention to how the old guy does it? I mean, it's really not. And the old guy, the first old guy, worked it out by watching people's eyes and realizing he was boring them. And they tried something else. And this went on for, literally tens of thousands of years. Tens of thousands of years, okay? And so by the time the first human beings wrote a story, 4,000 years ago, it was brilliant. The Gilgamesh is one of the greatest stories ever told. So that simply means that before that, for who knows how many thousands upon thousands of years, storytelling was an incredible art form. And it was a performance art, right? Besides which, this is how people think. This is how the mind works. And so it isn't a big leap that somebody gets up and says, you will never fucking guess what happened to me today. I was out there chasing this mammoth, all right? And all right? And because he'd already, before he got back to the cave, he'd rewritten it in his head 6 times over. Right. You know, if I'd only been on the cliff to throw the spear and not I could have killed the motherfucker. It's not that hard to figure out. It really isn't.
Okay.
Okay?
Great. Thank you.
Next. Nice chat, though.